All right, what's up? What's up, X? What's up, YouTube? All right, this is Clayton with 713 Sports Talk. So I'm trying out this live thing, full disclosure. I'm trying it out for the first time. And I'm multitasking a bit because I am actually watering the grass too. So there's that. I had to resod due to HOA concerns. You know how that goes. So resodding the grass right now. So part of that is I gotta water these things, or else they're gonna die, which looks like they're kind of halfway there. So I'm gonna try to salvage this grass in the same way that the Astros salvaged their series last night against the Seattle Mariners, spanking. Well, actually not last night, but yesterday, spanking them by a final score of 11-3. Finally getting a win on the board in the series has been tough. Yep, finally getting a win in the series has been tough. Offense finally breaks through, and really, technically, the offense really already was doing okay. Game one, I want to say, was their worst output, of course. Game two, the offense actually did more than enough to win the game, more than enough to win a lot of games, really. But when your starting pitcher, who I will talk about a little bit later, when your starting pitchers are giving up four earned runs and 2.2 innings of work, and getting yanked early, right, walking guys left and right, and just not performing well, it puts your team in the hole. The Astros did fight back in that game, actually to tie it up, but the pitching yet again kind of failed. But no, game two was mostly offense, though. Offense, well, I can't. I'm talking in circles. Game two, the starting pitching was the problem. And if your starting pitching get any less damage, you win that game outright. You wouldn't have need extras like you won that game. Um, Game three, of course, you know what happened. 11-3 spanking, demolition job. Christian Walker goes yard. Taylor Trammell has the game of his life in the outfield and in the batter's box, so that's good. It's always good when you see, oh, Cam Smith, he woke up, so there's that. Um, and of course, it wasn't all perfect. I don't know how much Gianna actually did, but beggars can't be choosers at this point. The Astros are scraping for wins, and yesterday was good for them. Again, the series wasn't all bad. It was just frustrating because there were just moments throughout the series where really you started feeling more so now than ever the weight of the season. And I would be grossly remiss if I did not mention the fact that the Astros yet again added another body, because of course they did. They added another body to the IL with Isaac Paredes pulling his right hammy, and it looked bad too. I did not see the broadcast at first. I heard about it. I heard that it didn't look good. When I finally saw it, I mean, the dude's leg looked like a capital letter L when he kicked it up in the air. It was that bad. And I feel sorry for him. He's been nursing that hammy for a little while, but you also feel for the team too, because I mean, at some point you just got to ask the question of, do you start thinking of, and it may sound like quitter talk, but if it gets out of hand enough, I mean, you're not that you're trying to be sellers at the deadline, but I mean, dang, I mean, how much can you really expect to win this year? Excuse me, when you have a village on the IL. Like, you have a small town on IL, just you guys. Like, I really wonder at this point what's the record for most players on IL for any one individual team in a season. I would like to know. I want to see if the Astros anywhere close to that. But outside of that though, as the banner is scrolling, this is Victory Monday, so we're gonna celebrate it. Salvage a series win against Seattle, keeping our division lead at 4, I believe. So that's good. I just released an article, actually. So I spoke of Lance McCullers a little bit earlier. I just released an article in collaboration with the Crawfish Boxes. So I'm actually a contributor now, so that's good. So I praise God for that. That's a blessing. Working with those guys, a great group of dudes. They brought me on, made me feel welcome, got me all hyped up, so ready to go. But on the Crawfish Boxes website, crawfishboxes.com, you can find many of our articles, high quality, very thoughtful pieces, analytically driven, data driven, and all those good things. I'm on there this morning with my Lance McCullers piece titled "Barry in the Bullpen," how his recent struggles might signify that it's time for a change. And I tried not, and I said this in the article. It wasn't a hit piece on Lance McCullers. The city of Houston will forever, at least the real Houston sports fans, will always remember 24 straight curveballs, right? The epic speech in the locker room after securing their 22 World Series. Just the heart and grit that LMJ has shown for this city throughout the years. The man said bury him in age. But the reality is we need to be able to have an objective conversation about these athletes, when it is time to have them without it becoming an overly sentimental thing. So that's what the purpose of that article was. Outside of that, I'm gonna shift gears. I'm gonna try to keep this Victory Monday brief. Um, Shifting gears for a second. Texans training camp is this week as well. So looking it up, I think everyone reports Tuesday, I believe. And I think the open practices start this weekend. So there's that. I'm excited. I made a couple graphics for those who do follow my TikTok. If you don't follow my TikTok, at 713 Sports Talk. I'm excited just to get the ball rolling. Look, you can feel this football season. I'm a teacher full time. So when the school year starts getting close, football season is not that far behind. I'm excited for these dudes because the Texans, they have been so far ahead of schedule, and now they're at the point where they tried to somewhat go for it last year, you could say, with the Stephon Diggs trade and everything. But it never felt like, okay, this is all chips on the table. We're really gunning for it. They did something because they wanted to build on CJ and Will and D'Amico's success in year one. But this season feels different. This feels like they got a taste of what they know they could be, and they made sure that they were not going to go into this season with some of the same weaknesses. They literally tore down the entire offense in order to get to this next level. They fired Bobby Slowick, for those who don't know, because they live under a rock. They fired Bobby Slowick, brought in Nick Haley from the Rams. CJ Stroud's in year 3. Nico Collins, of course, he signed it after he signed his new deal. Injury season last year, but still one of the top wide receivers in the game. Tank, of course, is out, unfortunately. Get well soon, Tank. But you drafted a number of receivers in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. I'm excited about those guys. Low key, you're gonna get Brevin Jordan back as well, and that could be a story on that, because I believe Brevin Jordan honestly was a sneaky underrated loss for them last season. I believe that you lost a lot of athleticism when losing Brevin Jordan. He was not just a backup tight end or a tight end two. Like him, along with Dalton Schultz, they provide so many more dimensions to the offense. And losing him hurt Dalton. Losing him hurt the team. Losing him hurt that offense. And I think more so than what we want to believe. Bring in Nick Chubb. I'm excited about that one. You got people saying, "Oh, it's not going to work because how are they going to share the ball?" or yada yada, all this stuff. Listen, man, you got Joe Mixon, you got Nick Chubb. I'm sorry, but on paper, that sounds like one of the more dominant running back rooms in the entire league. They both are physical. They both are aggressive. They both have vision. They both are proven winners in their own rights. They're both quality vets who just needed better opportunities. And the fact that they are together, I don't believe there's going to be any problems whatsoever. So you got the running back room secured. You got the wide receivers room improved upon. The defense is going to be the defense. Defense being a top unit last season. I made a graphic recently where I said top 5 in the NFL this year, if not top 1. I meant that. I was not trying to just be, clickbait or engagement farmer. I meant that. You have at least one All-Pro in Derek Stingley. You got a top pass rushing duo in Will and Daniil. Your secondary room is ridiculous with CJ, GJ, Kamara Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, Jalen Petrie, Reed. You had a bunch of dudes back there. Your linebacker core with Aziz Al-Shair, Christian Harris, Henry T, and then, of course, that D-line. That D-line. Settle. Hold on. Got Tim Settle, Faudakasi. Got a bunch of dudes on the line. So, yeah, man, it's exciting times. So, yes, training camps coming up, looking for the O-line, too. I actually also made an article I'll write for Battle Red also, but in the fan post section still. I wrote about the O-line and how the O-line literally is possibly the key to propelling this team to heights they've never seen before. Or it can go the other way. I think the former. I think they're ready to go. I think they're hungry. That's good. Okay, so I kind of skipped over this. So the Lance McCullers thing. So this is Astros Victory Monday. I'm watering my grass. I'm doing all this stuff. If you don't think I am, this is, so I'm doing. You see the hole right there? getting the sod. And somebody put in the comment section if you're a master of sodding your grass, what am I doing wrong? Because I've been watering them. I don't know if I've been watering them enough. I've heard different people on YouTube say you're supposed to water for hours a day, multiple times a week. And I've watered multiple times a week, but I mean I haven't stood there for hours watering per session. So maybe that's what's wrong. But let me know. But yeah, so the Lance McCullers issue. So I posted an article through the Crawfish Box as it got published today. Um, Shout out to the other editor. Entitled "Barry in the Bullpen." Entitled "Barry in the Bullpen," why his recent struggles may signify a sign for a change. Lance McCullers will always be remembered in the city of Houston for his contributions to the team. 24 straight curveballs, game seven against the Yankees in 2017. He tears his arm apart in the 22 World Series against the Phillies. He's out for 2+ years. But he keeps fighting. He keeps fighting. He keeps trying to come back. He keeps fighting. And now he's back. He made his season debut May the 4th against the White Sox this season. Debuted with a. Actually, I'm going to start from the home opener against the Reds. He debuted with an ERA over 15, 15.75 to be exact, I believe. And that was the infamous game where you had some loose cannon sports bettor drunk guy, I believe, who got mad and threatened Lance McCullers and his family on X because I guess he lost a bet, whatever. It's not that important. I don't want to give those kind of people this kind of platform. I would just say that you need to repent and find Jesus, as we all do. We all need to find Jesus. But, when you idolize sports, when you put sports on a pedestal such as that, that's what that looks like. To where, even if it's online, you threaten a man and his family's life, completely out of bounds, unacceptable, and you better be glad nothing worse happened to him. Um, but I mean, there needs to be an objective conversation about what Lance's season has looked like. Yes, he's lowered his ERA, but I mean, the league average is a little bit over 4, right? Lance McCullers currently sits at about a 6.9 ERA. Round that up, this man is averaging giving up 7 runs a game, 7 as a starting pitcher. Now, Joe Espada, after that Reds game, in which Lance was a part of a 10-run first inning, Joe Espada banged the table literally and figuratively and said that, it's been 2.5 years, cut the man a break, all these things, which on one hand, he's absolutely correct. If you take a break and a time off from doing anything for 2.5 years, um, you're probably going to be rusty, to put it lightly, upon coming back. But the problem with Lance and coming back, it's been, at least 9 starts since then. He started multiple games since then. Um, and he has not been good. He's had sprinkles of success against the Dodgers, I believe, but outside of that, Lance has just not been good. Velocity for research and X and different observers have told me velocity is down. There's not a lot of variance in his pitches. Guys are sitting on a lot of his balls, and they're just wailing on him. And it's unfortunate because he has fought back for this long, but you look at it, Lance McCullers right now, you're concerned about that next injury to him and that possibly ending his entire career. When word came out that Lance was going back on the IL, but it was for a foot, it was like a breath of relief, a sigh of relief, but at the same time, it's like, really? Really? You can't make this up. So in my piece, which you can read on crawfishboxes.com, I just said, like many others, maybe it's time to put him in the bullpen. Maybe it's time to go ahead and bury, I'm using his words, to bury the idea that he's a starting pitcher at this point in his career at 31 years old and so many miles on his body. Maybe it's time, in efforts to lengthen his career or lengthen his Astros tenure, whatever that's going to look like. Maybe it's time to go ahead and bury him in the bullpen. Our bullpen is top 4 in baseball. I want to say with like a 3.4 ERA, something in that 3.36, I believe. So we're a top bullpen in baseball. So it's not like you're trying to ask him to be the savior of your bullpen. So that would benefit him and the team in putting him on an already strong unit. He can be a long reliever. He can be a low leverage guy, like a 6th, 7th inning guy. Um, you can throw him out there to end games. Let's say you're blowing teams out, right? Or you're getting blown out. and you can put him out there and he'll pitch you 3 innings, right? Something like that. But you don't, at this point, you're trying to figure out, especially as he's going into the last season of that 5 year contract extension that he started in 22 and signed in 21. You are trying to, as a team, number one, yes, you're trying to win a World Series, of course, always. But for the sake of the players, you're also thinking, especially for a franchise cornerstone of Lance McCullers over the years, like you're also trying to do right by the players. You want to do right by Lance and say, okay, what can we do to help facilitate your success? How can we be an amoeba and be flexible and better accommodate him and his needs? Because right now, I'm not saying it's like his confidence to be shaken. No, I don't think that. I think Lance is a very confident guy, like Alex Bregman was. But I also don't like the idea of just constantly throwing him out there, asking him to put 6 or 7 innings on his arm that he's still coming back from, and he's not finding the success that he wants. Right? And I get it; it's just the first season back. But at the same time, these are some concerns that people have had before, about his health and durability and really just how effective he really can be. At this point now, for me, you love Lance McCullers, what he brings to the team as a leader, as a glue guy, as one of the longest tenured guys on this team, who's seen a lot and who can help a lot of these younger pitchers. But maybe it is time to entertain the thought of maybe him coming out of the bullpen. And it's okay. Like in my article, I mentioned guys like Gustav, I mentioned guys like Walter, Colton Gordon. They have held up. They have been our, this year's JP France and whatnot. They've been our Renel Blancos. They've been the guys to step up and at least be solid for the situation. And that's all you can ask for. Lance McCullers, once guys like Spencer Getty and Christian Javier come back, I mean, you have to be honest and say Lance has not outplayed guys like Colton. He's not outplayed guys like Brandon Walter. He just hasn't. And if you're trying to win a World Series, you got to have those conversations now. And you would hope that ego does not come into play both ways. You would hope that it's an amicable thing, and you would just and I believe Lance will put the team above himself. I do. I don't think he has an ego like that. I think he's a fiery competitor, but I don't think he has an ego. Um, what's up? We got two people in here. What's happening? What's happening? Or at least two watchers, however that works. New to the StreamYard thing. So wherever you are, what's up? Um, I'm multitasking, talking Astros Victory Monday, resodding this grass. So if you have any tidbits, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Help your boy out because trying to learn how to be a yard guy. But if you missed it, short version, Victory Monday, Astros put a spanking on the Mariners 11-3 yesterday. Salvage. Sorry about that. Salvaging one game in the series. Um, Astros Victory Monday, like I just said, talking about my new piece on the crawfish boxes about where Lance McCullers stands with the Astros in the rotation. And also Texans training camp. Always good conversation. So, so put in the comment section for my next, I guess live attempt. Just let me know what topics you want to see. Let me know what content to cover. Maybe I'll write about it and I'll shout you out. Um, But yeah, so short version of all those things, Lance McCullers might need to get brought back down to the bullpen because again, his body might not be able to hold up as much anymore. He has not been a quality starter, even though Espada has encouraged us to give him time. It's been 2.5 years. Hey man, listen, the game does not wait for anybody. The game will find you. Ask Christian Walker, ask Jose Abreu, ask Justin Verlander if the game finds you. So yeah. And then Texans training camp, excited for the offensive pieces. And I think the offense is underrated. I do. I think that the offense, I think Houston gets a bad rep because if it was Kansas City making a lot of these moves, if it was Dallas, people wouldn't shut up about it. But because it's Houston, well, I don't know. We don't know. We got to see. I don't know. Wait, let me see. Hold on. Yeah. So anyway, sorry about that. I fell out. Man, I lost my two people. Whoever those two were. That's whoever those two were. But yeah, I feel like the Astros are underrated. Not the Astros. Sorry, Astros still on the brain. The Texans. I feel like anything the Texans do until they have to literally whoop the Chiefs or the Bills, which we've beaten the Bills historically. Whether it's with Deshaun Watson, Bill O'Brien, we've beaten the Bills historically. So I don't want to hear that. The Ravens and the Chiefs are the two big brothers that the Texans have to beat. Those are the two that those are the two that they got to go. If you want to gain respect from anybody in the NFL, from these list makers, these odds makers, and people, with their lists and everything, right? And their mountains and their tiers, Shout out first things first. One of the better shows I can watch still now. Um, if you really want to earn that respect, you got to take it. And that means when it matters most, you got to beat teams like Kansas City and Baltimore, right? You have to show that you belong in those conversations because, in theory, the Texans should, right? Like, I believe they have a top 10 quarterback in CJ Stroud. I made a piece about that also, responding to the ESPN Jeremy Fowler piece about, and look, Jeremy Fowler did a great job. I just didn't agree with what the words of the executives, scouts, and coaches were saying. And I don't. And look, side note for a second, rabbit holing for a second. I don't understand this fascination with the Chargers. I don't get it. Maybe I should make a video about that. I don't know, but I'm trying to understand a team that got whooped by 20 points by a team with, yes, a top flight defense in the Texans, but a broken offense. We all know it was broken. And that offense did not get going until CJ had to scramble to his right, on that faithful play after a dribbled football off the turf, clutches, runs to his right, hurls it. Hutchinson picks up the completion, and then we go from there, right? It's like everybody in the media just, I mean, all the Chargers. They got a coach, they got, Herbert, all this stuff. I'm sorry, but at some point, you got to win, right? If the Texans are going to be held to that standard, then darn it, why do the Chargers get a pass every year? Like, the media wants the Chargers to be good so much. And I'm not, and look, again, this is not similar to McCullers. This is not me ragging on Herbert. This is not me ragging on the Chargers as an organization. I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is, the same standard that you hold the Texans to, any other team to, which is if you don't win consistently, you're not taken seriously. But the Chargers get a pass every single year for some reason. I don't understand it. Justin Herbert or not, Jim Harbaugh or not. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to hear a list or a conversation where CJ Stroud, who was left off that Fowler list in ESPN as an honorable mention next to Jordan Love, he was left off the list and Justin Herbert was on the list, right? Again, I think Herbert should be on the list, but I don't think CJ, who beat him and who's been a winner since he stepped foot in the NFL, how was that not top 10 quarterback? And then you got Jared Goff. Anyway, I'm rabbit holing, right? You see how things are going. Look, it's the offseason, man. Like, we need content. But no, so there are just so many talking points and storylines to it gets you all giddy and excited, warm and fuzzy on the inside. You're excited. Um, and it's crazy. I'm about to say this, but for the Rockets, Astros, and the Texans, health is the biggest thing for these seasons. Health, health, health. Skill, yes. Quarterback, yes. Point guards, yes. Kevin Durant, yes. Starting pitching, yes. Health. With the Astros being the tip of the spear in that conversation, we need health. I don't know where our medical staffs come from. I don't know. I respect them. They are experts. They know more than a lot of us ever will in our lives. You know, when we have PhDs in WebMD, right? They went to these schools. They went to these campuses. They know what they're doing, I guess. But the type of injury problems that the city of Houston has had for years in different points, it's astonishing. You know, Matt Schaub's injuries, friggin' Texans last season with Diggs and Tank and Nico and Joe. And I get it. Not everything was like freaky, but still like injuries, right? Soft tissue. Will Fuller, he couldn't stay healthy. And the one season that he did, he got popped for PEDs. So that happened. Um, And then the Astros, again, it goes without saying, 16 guys on IL and counting. Hopefully not. But health is going to be the biggest thing. Health is arguably the biggest equalizer in professional sports. So you will just hope that these guys are taking their gummies, that they're stretching. You would hope that they are taking care of their bodies. Heck, call LeBron, call Derrick Henry, call somebody. Heck, call Tyrone. I don't know. But call somebody and get these bodies in shape so we can get rolling. I say a lot of that in jest, but I'm so serious. Houston, get it together. Our injuries have been absolutely abysmal. I don't get it. Get it together. Um, but yeah, so that's all I got. Look, I don't want to hold anybody up. However this process works, again, this is my first, live stream on any platform like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and release this. I guess we'll see how it works, and hopefully you guys see it. I know it's about 20 plus minutes of me just kind of rambling to myself. But hey, again, it's the off season Astros Victory Monday. Check out the piece on the crawfish boxes once again about Lance McCullers and his immediate future possibilities, and the Texans training camp inquiries. Texans training camp starts this week, Fislow as well. Let's get hyped for the season. I got these guys going 12-5 and possibly making their first AFC Conference Championship game. I said it. Check out my YouTube. You see my acts on my YouTube and my TikTok where I have all my predictions there with scores. So, yeah, with that being said, this has been my little morning victory Monday for the Astros rant, amongst other things. Jesus loves you. Take care of yourselves. Hug your family members. Tell them you love them. And again, as I have on my pages, this page is by Houston for Houston. You guys take care. Have a blessed day.